Bucky Brooks gave us a little tease into what his thoughts are on Aaron Rodgers this year with the Jets. And Bucky, Rodgers will make his Jets debut. Obviously, it's a preseason game, so it's not the real thing, but he hasn't played in the preseason since, I think, 2018, and he is going to play Saturday against the Giants, probably play a quarter or so, but here's Robert Saleh, the Jets coach, talking about it.
Ultimately, for us as an organization, he's new. I know he's been in the league a very long time, but just didn't want September 11th to be the first time that he stepped into MetLife Stadium. You know, the Giants and Jets game, whether it's preseason or regular season, there's going to be a good turnout. There's going to be a lot of anticipation and excitement in the building. You can't coach scared. You can't play scared. You know, you can slip out of your car and have something happen to you, but you know, we'll be. Knock on wood, everyone will be fine. You know, you see some of the great ones out there. You know, Kansas City's playing their guys, Buffalo's playing their guys. It's not uncommon.
Yeah, Bucky, I'm with Saleh. You can't play scared. You can't, be afraid to put your guy out there. And I think even though he's a veteran, even though he's a future Hall of Famer, even though he's won a Super Bowl, this is a new team. And I think it's important, especially nowadays when they really don't, go very hard for the most part in practice. I think it's important for him to get out there live with his new receivers, with his new offensive line, new running backs, the whole 9 yards, and just get a taste of it so that his first, real action isn't against Buffalo in week 1. You told us a little bit about your feelings on Rodgers in New York. And you and I have been kind of in lockstep on Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, he's a great quarterback. But I've harped on, like, everybody has always blamed the fact that he's only got one Super Bowl appearance. Forget just championship. Mm-hmm. He only got one Super Bowl appearance in his career. And a lot of that has been blamed on the defense, which at times there's some truth to that. But also, Aaron Rodgers did not deliver particularly in the NFC Championship games. He's 1-4, and this is a guy whose claim to fame is that he doesn't throw interceptions. The best ever at protecting the football in the air. And yet, in the 5 NFC title games, he's got 9 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. So there's something going on there when a guy is that out of character. You look recently, I think it was Tampa Bay when they got down big and he rallied in the second half. It wasn't really in doubt, but, he kind of came on in the second half and put up numbers. And if you just look at the box score, it doesn't look like he had a bad game. But I'm saying, where were you when Tampa Bay was building that huge lead? San Francisco's building that huge lead. So, but I will say this, Bucky. Seeing the way he has behaved in New York, I first thought all the talk about the trophy that they won in 1969, looking lonely, and, it's so great to be a Jet. I thought it was bogus. I thought it was just lip service and saying the right thing. And then he gave up the $35 million, which I still don't think I don't know why he did it. I mean, I get you want to potentially help the team get some players, but I don't think you had to do that. But what I have to say is it shows that this dude is all in. And then you mentioned his other behavior, mentoring Zach Wilson and being there in the offseason to work out with the receivers, so on and so forth. Bucky, I got questions about the offensive line. But I'm expecting Aaron Rodgers to look more like the Aaron Rodgers of 2 years ago. I'm not saying he'll be 100% there, but I'm expecting him to be closer to that than closer to the guy that played last year in Green Bay. Where are you at on that?
Look, I don't think you're wrong. He certainly brings something to the table. These guys are prideful, right? And so when you have a lot of pride, you're going to step up and you're going to bring it each and every day. And so he is going to bring his best effort to the field. He has been the the model guy in the locker room when it comes to leadership and trying to get these young guys to understand what it takes to play at a high level. You already see when you look at Hard Knocks, man, these guys are hanging on his every word. And so it's good to see that part of his personality come out, the leadership guy. Now, the difference will be, how does he perform? They don't have the best offensive line. And so how is he going to perform in maybe a stressful situation when it comes to the pressure in his face? What's his skill level like? We're spoiled by what Tom Brady was able to do, continue to get better and better as he aged out. But can Aaron Rodgers do that? Can he play at that level where we're like, hey, man, this no matter what the age says, this guy is still playing at a level where we respect him and we fear him when he has the ball in his hands. For the Jets, it's about understanding it's different kind of being the team that no one talked about to now their expectations. How do the players handle the expectations? So I love what Robert Saleh is talking about. Hey, we're going to play him this last preseason game and get him ready, because what he's trying to do is still a trick that the Kansas City Chiefs have done for years. You heard him allude to Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs playing some of their guys. Yep. The Kansas City Chiefs jump on people the early part of the regular season. When we've heard other coaches talk about the first 4 games or for us to figure out who we are, right, the Kansas City Chiefs are like, no. We know who we are right away. And that gives them a chance to get the top seed. And when you've seen the Kansas City Chiefs go to 3 out of the last 4 Super Bowls and have like home field advantage on some of those runs, that's the trick. Now, we'll see if the Jets can kind of make that work. But, yeah, you got to play you guys. You got to have a rhythm, man. You don't want to give away games at the early part of the season because you're not ready to play. So I applaud them for it. Let's see what it looks like.
Well, and especially with their schedule, because it's not out of the question for them to be 1-4. And if they come out of the gate like that in New York, it will, it could get really challenging for Rodgers right away. Their schedule, Bucky, they got the Bills, they got the Cowboys, they got the Patriots, who I think they'll beat, but that's always going to be a tough game with Belichick there in that defense. Then they got the Chiefs and the Broncos and the Eagles, Giants, Chargers. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that. The Broncos, obviously that's a team that's beatable, but those are 8 tough weeks to start out with for the most part, certainly 7 or 6 or 7 of them. You mentioned the offensive line. I got major concerns about it. I think how much can Rodgers, with his quick release, his intelligence, and their quick game, do to offset that line? Like, is it a point? We see Burrow obviously function very well with the bad offensive line. We see Josh Allen do it with the mediocre offensive line. Do you think it's not going to be the problem that a lot of people might think it will be just because of Rodgers and what he can do? Or at his age, is this a major issue?
Oh, I still think it's a major issue. I think, as you get older, you don't want to get hit. And so when you start getting hit, it changes the way that you look. It changes the way that your eye level is in terms of, do you look down the field or do you look at the rush? Great passers feel the rush, but they're able to look downfield. They look beyond it. As you get older, man, you start getting hit early in games. No. You can't focus and concentrate the same way. So this offensive line has to be able to help him. They can do some things in terms of getting the ball out quickly and that, but no, the offensive line is a big component. The one thing that we do know that he can do is he can be an exceptional game manager, and not saying like, hey, he can play conservative, but in terms of teaching this team how to win, managing the game, manipulating the clock, understanding situation and circumstance and how to put it in their favor, reminding the guys in 4-minute offense to stay in bounds. All of that knowledge and experience and expertise that he's acquired over the years, he can share that with the young players, and that may account for 2 or 3 wins just in terms of learning how to play and not beating themselves. So he has value, but the offensive line is still a major concern.
So I don't know if you've made your picks yet. I said I'm still trying to figure it out. I think they're only getting 2 in. I think the AFC West will get 2. I think the AFC North will get 2. And then obviously the South will have, I think, 1. So you got Buffalo, you got Miami, you got Belichick and the Patriots. What type of year do you foresee if you've done your homework and your prediction yet? What type of year do you foresee for the Jets?
A lot of it depends on Aaron Rodgers' health as he gets older. But if he's healthy and available, they're going to win 10 or more games. They're good enough to do that. Their defense,
that should be probably get them in the playoffs, right?
It'll put them on the fringe. I think they're right on the fringe. I think they're on the cusp. I think he is going to put them in a position where we're going to talk about these guys being in the mix the last 4 weeks of the season. Then it's about how he and some of the other guys perform. The pressure really is on Robert Saleh. So the head coach now takes more responsibility because when you have a high-end quarterback, that wipes away the excuses. So now we're going to be able to evaluate the head coach and see, does he have the ability to help this team win the games that they not only are supposed to win, but can they win some games that maybe they're not supposed to win based on tactics, strategy, game management, and execution. All of those things come into it. So the head coach is on the hook for that. You just don't want to give away games and do that stuff.
Do you think they are the second, or because I'm guessing from a 10-win, that area, you don't think they're going to win the division. So do you think they're the second or third best team in the AFC East?
I think we can make the case that they're the second best team in the East. We talked earlier in the show about the Buffalo Bills coming back to the pack. The quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, gives them a chance to win some games just in terms of organization and management and execution. So that'll give them a chance. Really, it comes down to how do they start the season? Do they stumble out the gate? And Nathaniel Hackett, can Aaron Rodgers outplay the coaching or lack thereof?
Well, he loves Hackett.
Yeah, he does love him. But it's one thing loving him, but now when Hackett has the stuff, can he outplay the coaching? Because last year we saw what Hackett and Wilson, what that combination looked like, and we're still trying to figure out who is chiefly responsible for the lack of performance from Denver. Is it Hackett? Is it Wilson? That's what we'll be looking at. How does Aaron Rodgers perform with a different play caller?
Bucky, we were talking about this yesterday on First Things First on FS1. And let's say the Jets win 9 games, fall just short of the playoffs. And, we know what Woody Johnson is expecting. He's expecting probably at least the AFC Championship game, if not the Super Bowl. And they get rid of Saleh. But Rodgers has a good year and shows that, he's still playing well. We could see a scenario where if they get rid of Saleh, they've had a decent season, Rodgers played well, that Rodgers could be like, look, I want Nate Hackett to be the head coach because that's his boy from Green Bay. And I think if that were to happen, obviously he's got love for Hackett. He feels like might feel like he got a raw deal in Denver. If Rodgers did that, like I'm either out of here, I'll retire, or I want Hackett. I got to be honest, as horrible as Hackett was in Denver, I'd give him a year at least if it meant keeping Aaron Rodgers. Where would you be at on that?
Well, you want to keep the quarterback. The quarterback makes you a relevant franchise. We haven't heard as much conversation about the New York Jets since they had Brett Favre. And if you think about all things that are part of being an NFL owner, you want the product on the field to look great, but you also want to be able to capitalize on the players that you have. They are the media darling right now. Everyone loves the New York Jets. They secured Hard Knocks, even though they didn't want to be on Hard Knocks. I think that has been the best infomercial for the team. Right. So, if we can keep Aaron Rodgers around, even if he is a diminishing player, we want that because we want the attention, we want the notoriety, we want all the things that come along with him being available.